Hey, everybody, welcome to a completely unplanned Tuesday night Taco Tuesday Cup of Ray. Yeah, it was enough big news here in Tampa Bay that the Pinellas County Commission actually approved the bonds moving forward to get that stadium built here in St. Petersburg, which you guys and girls know I've been telling you guys all along, even as everybody else been saying not. But you know what it is that brought me to do this show here tonight? It's Michael Penix Jr., the former Tampa Tech kid. I saw this kid play in high school. Great quarterback. Goes to Indiana. He's a Hoosier. Has some injury issues, of course, the transfer portal. Even a couple of years back, before NIL and stuff became more official, he uses that portal to go become a Washington Husky. Has a great career out there. You saw him almost. We'll take him to the playoffs last year in 2023. And in the Falcons, after signing Kirk Cousins to a $100 million guaranteed contract this offseason, and I'm not here to decipher whether Kirk Cousins deserved it or not. You tell me. Me, go ahead and do this. So yeah, as much as I want to make this, the Pinellas County Commission votes to approve the bonds on the deal they approved back in July. Again, we had two parties back there to get the stadium done here in St. Petersburg, which in Pinellas County we've known all along. At least I've known all along it happens. But then the Falcons announced tonight that Michael Penix Jr. will be their quarterback moving forward. And I wanted to say this. First of all, congratulations to Michael Penix Jr. The kid's a cat. He's a dog. I saw him play again here at Tampa Tech in high school. I watched him in Indiana. Gets in the transfer portal after an injury. He's not guaranteed that starting quarterback position. Goes out to Washington and does nothing but throws biscuits and touchdowns. He ends up being a first-round draft pick for the Atlanta Falcons. And I'm going to do a shout out here to Pat Donovan from the Pat and Aaron show. Actually, both Pat and Aaron, but just this morning, Pat Donovan was talking about this kid because the writing's been on the wall with the interceptions, lack of touchdowns that Kirk Cousins has thrown over the last month. And of course, as Buccaneer fans here in the NFC South, as the Bucs have taken care of their business and moved into sole possession of first place in the NFC South, the Falcons are the team right behind us, right? The Carolina Panthers, fortunately, they didn't find anything early enough this season. And of course, those New Orleans Saints, I don't even know what's going on with them. But Pat Donovan said this morning, I wish this kid was in another division because you'd want to root for this guy. He's a local kid. He was actually not born here. He was born actually in Alabama. But he was, played at Tampa Tech High School. We saw this kid. He goes on and he uses that transfer portal to transfer to Washington. Has a fantastic career. And I remember having a conversation with a lot of y'all last before the draft this last April on Cup Array talking about could he become a Buccaneer quarterback? Knowing that we had Kyle Trask in stop with the Kyle Trask me, but we had Kyle Trask in the last year. We know we got Baker. We got our franchise quarterback and kind of a quarterback we can bring in here to back up a Baker Mayfield. And I think that Penix was deserving of a first-round pick. But the Atlanta Falcons, after signing that big contract to Kirk Cousins, again, I'm going to put the comments up here. If y'all got anything, please. I want to know what y'all think about this because it's not just about what I think. And right here, Christopher Cole says, complete mismanagement of the situation. Is it though, Chris? It's not that as a Bucs fan, still in a very heated race with these Atlanta Falcons, who they beat the Raiders last night. Oh God, if the Raiders could have got that pass on that last play of the game and won that game, because we were all rooting for it, right? We want to keep those Falcons back because Raheem Morris, we know that guy's a dog. He was a dog when he was coaching here with the Buccaneers 72 years ago. and he's had nothing but since then. Was with the Falcons, went out with the Rams. He's been an offensive and defensive coordinator, and he's become a pretty darn good coach. And I love the fact that he runs a coup out there last night. No intentions on kicking that field goal before the half because they'd already pretty much they basically raised their leg and pissed all over the Raiders there in the first half of that game. I love the fact that he does that. I mean, coaches do different things, but at the end of the day, he's playing head games. It's all about head games. And the reason why I wanted to go live tonight is because, let's be honest, taking Kirk Cousins out, not only because of his performance, right? And again, shout out not only to Pat Donovan, but Aaron Jacobson. Go ahead and check out on the WDAE feed. Aaron Jacobson had a post here today where he's talking about the fact that, of course, the Atlanta Falcons were going to put themselves in a situation like this. I mean, you don't go into a season knowing exactly what happens, but when you sign Kirk Cousins to a huge free agent contract to bring that veteran leadership into a team that has a Kyle Pitts, that has a Bijan Robinson, that has a Drake London, that has a team that feels like they're ready to contend. Got another comment right here. Mike Stover says it doesn't matter as long as we stay ahead of them. 100%, Mike. And here's what I'm talking about for the future. Because don't forget, Mike, there's still a contingent. There's still a large an amount of fan base for your Buccaneers that are ready to run Todd Bowles out of county. Oh, we've made the playoffs 3 years. Playoffs. We've won the division. This could be the third year. Remains to be seen. There's still 3 games to play at Dallas and then home against the Saints and the Panthers. But we got a quarter. He's taking care of this, but now you've got a team improving in the Atlanta Falcons. And then don't forget what Dave Canales and what he's doing with Bryce Young there in Carolina. Even though Carolina traded away so many picks to get Bryce Young first overall last season, they're still drafting a little lower, second, third, fourth place in the South. And we're ready to run Todd Bowles out of town. And I'm talking about that when you got a Michael Penix coming in and he's going to start lining up with your Kyle Pitts and Bijan Robinson and your Drake Londons and what Raheem Morris is doing there in Atlanta. That's the reason why they make the decision to go to Michael Penix Jr. this week, even as they're in contention. You got to roll the dice. Now, imagine this from Arthur Blank's standpoint. Thanks, Mike, for commenting. Anyone else out there got a comment? Please share. Christopher Gold says they should have played him in the preseason games. And remember, he was recovering, not from an injury, but they still had, Kirk Cousins coming in there, and they couldn't play him too much because at the end of the day, you'd have had your entire fan base being the Atlanta Falcons, which really, what kind of fan base is that anyway? I'm kidding. But, I mean, they would have been calling for him to play. Cameron Decker's in here. What's good, gay boys? Cameron, thanks for the other night, your comments. I know you made a comment about to me and my sexual preferences. And, hey, if you got a problem, yeah, you are here, brother. I'm here. Keep commenting. I appreciate it. The reason why they make the move here in week 16 is because, number one, and that's what I want to ask you guys and girls here tonight. Is it because the Buccaneers have that lead? And it seems like with the Cowboys and with the Saints and with the Panthers, the Atlanta Falcons realize the writing might be on the wall because of the performance they've had in Kirk Cousins over the last 4 weeks with the more crazy interceptions and no touchdowns. He threw another one last night, too. So they put Penix Jr. in there, or is he trying to rally his team to continue to make sure they win these next 3 games, hoping the Buccaneers slip up? At the end of the day, would it be better for the Falcons if the Buccaneers do control their destiny, which they do and they should? Is it better for Arthur Blank and those Falcons to bring Penix Jr. in? They barely missed the playoffs. We're so sorry. We did spend $100 million, but we drafted our future. He's in here. He got jiggy with it. That's for you, Peter Blake, in the last few weeks. And then now we have a chance to see what Penix Jr. can do against the rest of the division as he finishes out this 2024 season. Or is it truthfully they believe that he gives them the best chance for winning and they're going to take a run at the Buccaneers because they do still want to win the NFC South? I personally believe it's the first. I personally believe that Raheem Morris, knowing and realizing what Todd Bowles and this Buccaneers team has going on here, he realizes that there's probably a good chance that those Falcons are not going to get back ahead of us. We're still 1 game ahead. So he's figuring, let's go ahead and work on that future. Let's go ahead and put the franchise in there. Let's try to make them forget about that $100 million guaranteed contract we gave to a Kirk Cousins, and let's move forward. They didn't draft Penix because they figured he was just in case they needed a backup for Kirk Cousins in 2024. They drafted him because they realized Cameron. Am I going to regret reading all these? Because I listened to Peter tonight. These are great. Cameron Decker says, Buck's going to lit up like a Christmas tree this postseason. 100%, brother. I do agree with that. They're going to keep playing. Playing. It wasn't playoffs, but they beat the Lions. They took the Chiefs to overtime. The Ravens, they got by them. The Denver Broncos, don't even go there. The fact of the matter is this Buccaneers team has beat most of the best teams in both divisions. And the fact that they're still ranked only 11th in both the ESPN and Pro Football Talk power rankings, I call bullshit. Cameron says the Bucks coaching staff is the same as if the Biden administration was football. Cameron, you're letting your politics show. You're not supposed to do that. Where's Peter? He's right here. Not Peter Blake. Michael Stover says a small part of me, this Penix is too green, and that might be a problem, right? But here's the thing, Mike: if they put Penix in there, if the Bucks continue to take care of their business and they win in Dallas and they win against the Saints and they win against the Panthers, which I think is a great. We talk about a barometer. We talk about what it meant for the Buccaneers to go out there to Los Angeles. I'm sorry, San Diego, and beat the. And I want to go and shout out again to the Bucks fans that were last weekend that were at SoFi, because I remember watching the game the week before, and we know the narrative with the Los Angeles Rams is I've not watched a Rams game where they've had more home team fans than visiting team fans. And I'm trying to think about it. Now, I live here in Tampa Bay. Is going to LA, is that much? In SoFi Stadium, sure, it's the eighth wonder of the world. But is that big a deal that so many fans go to watch their team play there, or just the fact that the Los Angeles Rams do not have a fan base? But I'm watching that game last week between your Buccaneers and those Chargers, and I'm hearing when the Buccaneers had a great play, I'm hearing a lot more cheering. And I got to be honest with you, the Chargers had a lack of good plays. So that might have been it too. But I mean, I'm hearing the Buccaneers representing the Bucks fans, the Buckaholics, all the Bucks fans that are out there representing. And I want to go ahead and say shout out to you because we heard you and we appreciate you. Cameron also says, I sent Sam and shirt guy your streaming location. Of course, I'm out here again in front of the Maple Street Biscuit Company. If you're here in the Tampa Bay area, anywhere in the Seminole area or near the beaches, you got to come here on a Saturday or Sunday. And here's the thing, and I've said this before, it's Maple Street Biscuit Company. Best biscuits you'll ever get around here. And then they put some delicious sausage gravy, some eggs, whatever you want. And of course, they were a supporter of the Cup of Ray way back when I was just starting out. So I got to do a shout out. Carl Hardy says, just win, baby. 100% Carl. It doesn't matter if they start Jesus Christ at quarterback. If the Buccaneers take care of their business, it doesn't matter. So at the end of the day, that's why I'm like, I got to go live tonight, because this isn't just the Falcons making a change for what they think is the future of the franchise. I think it's a Hail Mary pass in 2024, because I think that if they got jiggy with it and got into it, if the Bucks were to stumble, again, I don't see it happening, but that's why they play the game. Then I think that Raheem Morris and Arthur Blank and the Falcons are figuring, let's get our guy in there. Kirk Cousins hasn't had a good 2024. Kirk Cousins, I think Buccaneers fans, you'll agree with me, Kirk Cousins, going back to the first game last season at Minnesota, Kirk Cousins has performed exactly like what we believe or we thought Kirk Cousins would perform against a Buccaneers defense, against an aggressive pressure defense. And I think that Atlanta finally figured that out. And they said, let's go ahead and start them. Austin Andre says, Cup of Ray. Austin, brother, I appreciate you, brother. Good to see you. I got off early tonight. Yeah, that's why I had the energy. Mike Stover says, what a statement game against the Chargers. And that statement is that this team is is in the top 5 in the entire National Football League. Now, you got to show up every week. And I won't lie to you, I work with and I know quite a few Dallas Cowboy fans. And they've had their heads in the sand since months ago, when they saw how Dak was playing when now he's injured, and how, bringing back Zeke, and none of that's working. What's Jerry Jones, what's Stephen Jones doing? But I've went to all of them. Oh, God, let me go ahead and keep going here. Cameron says, how long do you think Mayfield will stay a Buck? Mayfield will stay a Buck until his career is over. And I'll say that because – and I don't say career over. Mayfield will stay here as long as he continues to play like the dog he is. Because remember, he wasn't a Heisman Trophy winner. He wasn't the number 1 overall draft pick in 2018. He hasn't been any of those things because he wasn't great. He's a great quarterback. I'm not going to even try to figure out why Cleveland let him go. And I said that with Peter on the postgame show there from Ferg's, of course, the world famous Ferg Sports Bar and Grill down there on Central Avenue, just below 16th Street in the Edge District of St. Petersburg. And I said to Peter, can you imagine the worst thing in the world? I can remember the years. I can remember letting Doug Williams go in 1983. I can remember drafting Vinny Testaverde, and then 2 years later, he's talking he's colorblind. I can remember trading away the first in '82, trading away the first round pick overall for Jack the throwing Samoan Thompson from Cincinnati, and we lost down on a chance. Dan Marino was on the board when we would have drafted into 1983. I've been through all that, and I'll tell you right now, I don't know. I have not seen a franchise quarterback come in here and not only be a leader of men. Because, I mean, we go back to Steve DeBerg. I can tell you about Craig Erickson, one of my favorite Buccaneers of all time. In fact, still my favorite number 7 overall of all time Buccaneer. But yeah, Bucky Irving's kind of getting there. But, I mean, at the end of the day, I could tell you about quarterbacks and drafting guys or bringing guys and signing guys that just weren't the guy. Baker Mayfield is the guy. So how long is he going to be a Buccaneer? As long as Baker Mayfield wants to be a Buccaneer. I think Jason Light would agree with me on that. James Canada. What's up, Tampa Bay Ray? James, brother, I wanted to talk with you about this Sunday. Peter and I are doing a pregame show from Fergs for the Buccaneers versus the Cowboys at 425. I'd like to get you and Stoggs in there, or Jay Stoggs in there, if you guys would like to come in here and talk a little bit about this matchup between the Bucs and the Cowboys. But of course, James Canada, one of my favorite Buccaneers of all time, and not just because we're friends, because I remember what 98 meant to this team, because at the end of the day, and it's the same thing with your Buccaneers team here in 2024, it might not be your marquee guys that you're looking at. It might be a substitute player or a running back you don't even recognize, or a Merriweather, a rookie, or you're talking about what the players mean to this team. And James Canada, I always said that when he played with Warren Sapp, 98, 99, the way they played inside, James was the more handsome one, and I know I hope you agree, James. I know the missus does, but good to see you in here on a Tuesday night. Appreciate you. Mike Stover says, also have the studio movie girl there. Yeah, Mike. So that's where my son Tristan's working out. In fact, if you come here to the studio movie girl at the Seminole City Center and you're getting service in there, make sure you ask for Tristan, because he'll bring the great service and he's loving it. It's his first job, and it's going to be his job for a while, as long as he keeps those grades up and as long as he's still keeping that football stuff going. Carl Hardy says Baker has a home. He 100% does. And I'm not even going to go back to what I was talking about there about him. Cameron Decker says, I just put up 6,000 yards and 72 touchdowns in my first season of career mode in Madden, LOL. That needs to be the standard, and we went undefeated to win a Super Bowl. And I like how you put 72 in there, Cameron. It means you're watching, and I really do appreciate that. James says, we better stomp out the Cowboys. Stoggs is hating this week. James, you and Stoggs, I want to bring you in on the pregame show with Peter and I from Fergs on Sunday. Please, I know we're going to be doing a 3-hour pregame this week from 1 to 4, and then we're going to get off and give everybody a little time, or I'm sorry, from 4 to 7, and then give everyone a little time to watch the Sunday night anthem and get ready for that game versus the Cowboys there at the AT&T Stadium in Dallas. But I'd love to have you come in there, brother, and of course, not just because it's like good to talk to you, but because you also know what you're talking about, and we haven't talked in a while. Okay, battery saver's on, so I can't make this show as long as of course I am. 100%, James. He also says Baker's a risk taker, but he has a dog in him. And the thing about the risk taker part is, James, it's going to suck because there's going to be a game at some point, not in 2024, because we're going all the way to New Orleans, but there's going to be a game where you're going to look back and you go, oh, the interceptions, or he took a chance. But you got 52 guys behind you. That's a leader. I mean, even there's war. There's generals that led our army, our troops in war that didn't win every battle. But the fact that they had their troops 100% ready to run through a wall, that's the kind of leader you want for your team. That's the kind of leader that Baker Mayfield is. So, yeah, 100%. James also says that's after church. So I got you. Yes, that's the reason why James never joins me on Cup of Ray, because I usually do it in the morning. So, James, I'll get with you tomorrow. We'll set it up 100%. It'll be a pleasure to have you and Stoggs come in here. You got to have Stoggs, though. Actually, you don't need Stoggs. I just be happy talking to you. But I'm going to go ahead and give a shout out to the Atlanta Falcons in the respect of, because I think this was the move you have to make for 2024, is because the Buccaneers are in control of their own destiny. And guess what? Bury the lead. They're taking care of their business. But you go ahead and you put Michael Penix Jr. in there. Fantastic quarterback, and all the reports this entire year have been he's been nailing it in practice. That's the future of your franchise. And I don't want to say even Kirk Cousins was a bridge quarterback, because when they signed him in the offseason, he was the quarterback. But then looking back on it now, maybe Raheem Morris, give that cat a little credit. Maybe his plan was to have him as a bridge quarterback, knowing that hopefully you win the division. The entire NFL was wanting to hand the Falcons the division in 2024. But guess what? Turns out the Buccaneers have a dog in Baker Mayfield and 52 other guys, and Jason Light continues to draft players that put his team in contention. Christopher Cole says, Penix has an easy one to start. Yeah, well, and again, he's got an easy one to start. And here's the thing, guys and girls. I'll go ahead and say this at the end of the day. The Falcons went 2-0 against us in 2024. I would love to see Penix go up against Todd Bowles in this defense, because Todd Bowles and the way he hides his blitzes and goes after a quarterback, no way Penix would have had a chance to have any success. Of course, now the Falcons are still trying to catch us. We're one game ahead. Why not put him in there? James Canada says, "Oh yeah, 100%, brother. I appreciate you. I'm going to go and get off here right now. I'll talk stadium another time. The Pinellas County Commissioners vote to approve 4-2 to get that stadium bonds done until we get shovels in the ground, until I see a stadium done, maybe until we have the inaugural game there in 2055 or whenever they're going to have it done. I'm not going to call it a done deal." Cameron says, "Why no strippers coming on camera tonight?" Cameron, join us on Sunday for the pregame show from the world famous Ferg Sports Bar and Grill, and I promise you, we'll have what you want. I appreciate y'all. I'm going to get out of here real quick. I've talked too much, but Michael Penix Jr. I agree with Aaron Jacobson this morning, his take, or I'm sorry, Pat Donovan on the Pat and Aaron show, 5 days a week on 95.3 WDAE from 6 to 9. He says, "I find it hard to root for this kid." It's going to be hard to root for him because he's in our division. But at the end of the day, he's a local kid, or at least he went to Tampa Tech. I've seen this kid play. You guys have a great evening, and we'll talk to you on the next.